Hi everyone, I'm Carolina Monte and this is What's Happening in Brazil. We start by updating you on the latest news from the country. President Lula decreed an official 7-day mourning period in the country for the death of Pope Francis. He said that humanity has lost a voice of respect for others. Lula also confirmed his presence and the First Lady's, Janja, at the funeral on Saturday. During his papacy, Francis maintained a close relationship with Brazil, which was the first country that he visited after becoming Pope in July 2013. Known for his progressive posture, he created the Global Meeting of Popular Movements at the Vatican. The reunion gathered representatives of the Landless Workers movement. Brazil's Supreme Court has decided to open legal proceedings against 6 more defendants that intended to keep Bolsonaro in power. The group is accused of managing actions to carry out the coup. With the decision, those accused become defendants, along with 8 other people, including former President Jair Bolsonaro. The government of São Paulo state has begun this week the removal of the Mourning slum, the last favela that remains at the center of the city. More than 1,000 families live at the Mourning community, which is located in a region coveted by real estate speculation. Residents denounced that they are being coerced into accepting the state government's removal proposal. More than 4 billion reais are being invested in infrastructure to host COP30 in Belém, the capital of Pará state. One of the works is the construction of a sewage treatment plant in the Vila da Barca community. Although located in the impoverished community, the plant will treat sewage from a wealthy region of the city, which will host the international event. Residents of Vila da Barca are protesting against the work.
In recent days, a protest by the Vila da Barca community drew attention for denouncing the precariousness of the water offered to the population of that neighborhood. Muddy, fetid, rusty-colored water. Vila da Barca, one of the largest communities on stilts in Latin America, was chosen as the place to install a sewage treatment plant. The structure, which is still under construction, will serve the region of Nova Doca, a construction site in a wealthy area of Belém, planned to receive COP30 participants.
As obras da COP não beneficiam.
Although we are in the same area where the COP will take place, the works do not benefit our community. We are just about 1.5 kilometers, maybe 2, from Doca de Souza Franco Avenue. Now, they're saying that after our protests, the work will benefit the community, but there is no technical proof of this. And if it really benefits the community, it won't benefit the whole of it, but only the urban area. The area on stilts will remain as it is.
The community has already claimed for social and collective use the area where the station is being built, but the requests have not been granted.
Que está sendo demolido agora para dar lugar.
The building being demolished to make way for the sewage treatment plant could serve as school or nursery school, both of which the community lacks. It could also be used to expand the health unity or the health expansion program itself, which was announced by the current mayor in his election campaign. Unfortunately, they preferred to make way for a sewage plant that wouldn't benefit the community, and the community continues to suffer from its needs.
Since the beginning of the works, residents fear ending up having more problems in addition to the precarious water supply.
The water is so dirty, so yellow, that my body itches. If you bath in this water, you can't even sleep because it's filthy. You can't even cook anymore. You have to buy mineral water to make food, coffee, everything. The water is no good. For washing clothes, it's horrible. So far, I've seen nothing positive. I've only seen damage even to the water. Can you imagine, when all this is concluded, how it will be?
Residents of Vila da Barca have been denouncing environmental racism. According to popular educator Suane Barreirinhas, despite demands, the state has never delivered environmental impact documents.
O que a gente está denunciando quanto ao racismo ambiental é muito.
The public administration insists that the sewage won't stay in the villa. But if it's going to be treated, it's going to stay there for a while. Since 2024, Vila da Barca has been receiving mud from the DOCA works. So our environmental racism complaint goes beyond the sewage treatment station.
Despite the difficulties, Suwani says the community continues organized and fighting for its rights.
Por que eles não escolheram essa estação de tratamento em algum...
Why didn't they choose to build this station in the DOCA area or in the Umarizal neighborhood, which still has vacant land? They never expected us to understand what this project was about. They never imagined that we would confront them and denounce this case of environmental racism in the city that will host COP30, the most important climate event on the planet.
Brasil de Fato contacted the Pará State Sanitation Company and the Pará State government, but received no replies.
In the 90s, a massacre forever marked the struggle of landless rural workers in Brazil. In Eldorado dos Carajás, Pará State, 21 peasants were killed by the police during a demonstration. It was one of the state's most violent actions against rural people. Today, 29 years later, the memory of the victims lives on through homage, protest, and resistance.
29 years ago, on April 17th, one of the most emblematic cases of violence against peasants in Brazil took place. Military police killed 19 rural workers on the road known as Curva do S in Eldorado dos Carajás, in the state of Pará, and another 2 people died days later, victims of the violence. The cruel memories of the massacre are still strong in the minds of survivors, like Maria Zeuzuita.
Então nós ficamos aqui no meio da pista em fogo cruzado.
We stood here in the middle of the road in the crossfire. Bullets from both sides. 3,000 people here. Adults, children, old men and women running everywhere. It wasn't flat here. It was a barrier. And it had rained on the previous day. So first water came down, then blood, covering the road in red.
The massacre drew worldwide attention. April 17th became the International Day of the Peasant Struggle, and the month became a symbol of popular struggles in Brazil known as Red April. Every year since 2006, the Landless Rural Workers movement, also known as MST, has set up an educational encampment at the site of the massacre named after Osiel Alves, the youngest victim, who was 17 when he was murdered. The activity is aimed at the movement's youth.
The pedagogical encampment signifies what the space was. But above all, I think it honors the memory of our martyrs. It represents the dreams of youth. We always say that the pedagogical encampment aims to turn the S of the curve into an S of sunny good days for all.
The 155 military police officers involved in the acts of brutal violence were acquitted. The commanders of the operation, Colonel Mário Colares Pentoja and Major José Maria, were tried only 16 years after the massacre, and although they were convicted, they did not serve their sentences. Today, the struggle for land is intensifying in the state of Pará, which is home to the largest MST encampment in Brazil called Terra e Liberdade, Land and Freedom in English, with more than 5,000 families in defense of agrarian reform.
O MST entendeu que essa articulação
The MST understood that the articulation of the Brazilian judiciary with large landowners, the state, and companies would hinder any justice process regarding this case. And justice for us is occupying land. It's the social justice of conquest. That's why we started to fight, because we realized that the judiciary had its farce, and we had to guarantee social justice through organization and the struggle for land.
A luta vai ser tão difícil na lei ou na marra, nós vamos ganhar.
Did you like the show? So hit the like button and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive notifications. We'll see you next week.